This is Daniel in so many words.
Hey everyone, so today I wanted to talk about... What? Oh, the Sylveon doll. Yeah, no, that, see that I bought that ironically. I swear. Hey there, fellow Pokemon trainers. My name is Daniel, and in so many words, gym leaders have been a huge part of the Pokemon game since the very beginning. They're essentially the boss battles of the Pokemon games, serving to test the skill and technique of any Pokemon trainer who may wish to compete in that region's Pokemon League. But some gym leaders just aren't up to the task, and maybe not everyone should be handing out official gym badges. So today, I'm gonna count down my top 5 picks for the worst gym leaders ever. Number 5, Viola. Viola is the first gym leader you encounter in Pokemon X and Y, and first gym leaders generally aren't that hard to beat. Viola is one of the easiest first gym leaders though, because not only is she a bug type specialist, and bug types are generally pretty flimsy to begin with, but she only has a Surskit and a Vivillon. Surskit does neutralize its fire weakness with a half-water typing, but if you manage to pick up a Pikachu in Santalucit Forest and train to learn Thundershock, that'll be no issue. Nor will Vivillon, whose defenses aren't that great, and is also weak to electric attacks, not to mention the standard fire and flying attacks. Worst of all, her signature move, which only her Vivillon has, isn't even that good. Infestation is just a bug-type version of Fire Spin or Whirlpool. 20 base power, hits you for 2 to 5 turns, and you can't escape. Not a big deal if you have any of the litany of Pokemon you can catch before getting to this gym that wipe the floor with Vivillon, and or you downloaded the Speed Boost Torchic that they gave away when the games first came out. Again, Viola has the excuse of being the first gym leader of her region, so that's enough to save her from being any higher up on this list, but not enough to save her from being on the list entirely. Number 4, Falkner. Falkner is another first of his region leader, this time hailing from Johto. According to him, he inherited both his gym and his Pokemon from his father, meaning he couldn't really be trusted to acquire either on his own and had to be given these things, unlike the majority of gym leaders who both caught their own Pokemon and earned their own place as gym leaders. Speaking of his Pokemon, the one thing that's always really irked me about Falkner is that he has an illegal Pidgeotto. It's level 9 in Gen 2 and level 13 in the Gen 4 remakes, but in both cases it's before Pidgey should have evolved. Either way, still illegal. Slap the cuffs on him, Jenny. He's not much of a threat considering in the Gen 2 games his Pidgeotto is only level 9, and Mudslap is more of an annoyance than anything, with its accuracy lowering effect. The Gen 4 remakes give him Roost instead of Mudslap, and the challenge slightly increases with the level buff, but it's still not enough to overwhelm you. Number 3, Ramos. I've said this multiple times now, but Pokemon Y has usurped Pokemon Blue as my all-time favorite Pokemon game. The storyline was great, the full 3D battles look amazing, and most of the gym leaders are pretty cool. And then there's Ramos. Until I was researching gym leaders' Pokemon for this list, just to make sure I had things right, I'd honestly forgotten about Ramos, which really shows you how forgettable he is. He's got a sweet gym design waiting for you on top of a gigantic tree that you have to ascend, and you're swinging on vines like you're fucking Tarzan, but the payoff for reaching him is just not worth the effort. His team consists of only 3 Pokemon: Jumpluff, Weepinbell, and the only Kalos Pokemon on his team, Go-Goat. This is such a wasted opportunity to show off some other great Gen 6 grass types. Why not include Gourgeist and Trevenant on this team? It'd show off some new Gen 6 Pokemon, and it would have thrown some trainers off if they didn't know about their half-ghost typing. But instead, we just get some old man with a giant pair of hedge clippers and a pretty mediocre grass type team. Lame. Number 2, Janine. As of Generation 2, Koga left the Fuchsia City Gym for a spot in the Elite Four, taking Agatha's spot and leaving his gym leader position vacant. Once I beat the Elite Four and found out I could also win Kanto's badges, I was pretty curious as to who would take Koga's spot, and it turns out it was his daughter Janine. Despite being another gym leader who inherited their gym instead of earning it for themselves, I was hopeful that Janine could be as great or even better than Koga, but nah. She's the weakest gym leader in Gen 2 Kanto by several levels, despite being the 5th gym leader if you're going by the original order. Even in the Gen 4 remakes with a level buff, she still has the weakest team on average, with her team bottoming out with a level 44 Weezing. As for her gym, Janine not only retains her father's invisible walls, but she also uses doppelgangers to confuse the player. But given her weak team, all this trickery seems to be less about increasing the challenge and more about compensating for a lack of battle skill. Instead, between recycling her father's old tricks ranks being the weakest Gen 2 Kanto gym leader and not even being as powerful as her father's team in Gen 1, Janine is not a successor to Koga, but rather a pale imitation. Honorable mentions. I have to include Flannery as an honorable mention because she's another leader who inherited her gym, not to mention she has no real idea how to present herself. But she's just an honorable mention and not on the actual list because her team's not awful, and to be perfectly honest, I'd probably have the same sort of identity crisis on how to present myself as a gym leader if I was in her shoes. Number 1. Silent, Chili, and Cress. Silent, Chili, and Cress are the first gym leaders you encounter in Pokemon Black and White, and this threesome sports some fairly weak Pokemon, but this isn't even close to the only reason that they're number 1. For one thing, their battle is a huge wasted opportunity to show off triple battles, which were introduced in Generation 5, and it would have made so much sense to use the Striaton City Gym battle as a way to showcase this, considering this is literally the only gym in the franchise with 3 gym leaders. It would have made perfect sense, like how Gen 3 introduced double battles, and then we had a gym that featured a double battle, as you had to do a double battle against Tate and Lisa of Mossdeep City. But Sugimori and Tajiri just decided to have it be a singles battle against whichever one of them has a type advantage over your starter, and they were just like, yep, license to print money. But I think what really seals it for me is that they were totally absent during the Gym Leader 7 Sages standoff in the game's main event. At the end of Black and White's main storyline, you're surrounded by the 7 Sages of Team Plasma, but all of a sudden, here come the Unova Gym Leaders. Yeah, now you got some backup. Here's all the Gym Leaders, and they're gonna have a big showdown with Team Plasma, and wait, where are Silent, Chili, and Cress? Oh yeah, they're back in Striaton City doing jack shit. In a memory link flashback in Black and White 2, you can listen in on a conversation they had sometime after this, where they admit the 7 Sages wouldn't have escaped if they had been there, and they actually resigned as gym leaders because of this, and because, as Cress says, the 3 of them together make up one full-fledged trainer. And it's this complete and utter incompetence, along with their weak teams, and the wasted opportunity to showcase triple battles, that makes Silent, Chili, and Cress of Striaton City, in my opinion, the worst gym leaders of all time. So, what gym leaders do you consider the worst of the worst? Let me know in the comments below. But until we meet again, insert catchphrase here.